Hey, my name's Mike. I'm a developer from Philadelphia, and in this video, I'm going to be teaching you about using date times in Python 3. So we're going to look a little bit about how we can work with dates in Python, and I'll show you guys some cool examples related to that. In this video, we'll cover the following key concepts: using and importing the datetime module, also using the string ptime function and the string ftime function. So without further ado, why don't we get into it? I'm going to head over to my programming environment and we'll get started. So here on my programming environment, on the left, I have just some text, and this is what we're going to be going over. So these are just little steps that we can try to complete and we'll learn as we go. And then over here on the right, I have my terminal open. So the first thing that you're going to want to do to follow along with me is open up your terminal, and you can just open that up anywhere. I just have mine open here alongside of my text editor. Once we're in our terminal, we want to type in Python 3. And this is going to open up the interactive Python environment. So this is an environment where we can write Python code and we can kind of execute it without having to put it in a file and without having to manually run it and all that stuff. So within this environment, it's a good place to kind of just play around, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be learning about working with date times, and a date time is basically a Python object which represents a point in time. So a point in time has multiple aspects to it, right? Generally, we would think of a single point in time as having a year, a month, a day, and then also hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, and all that stuff associated to it, right? With all of that information, we could kind of pinpoint one exact moment in time. And that's extremely useful. There's so many use cases where you're going to want to keep track of a date time. I mean, just think of any big application. Anytime you want to mark down when something happened or when something's going to happen, you're using stuff like this. So it's very important to get familiar with the datetime module if you're going to be writing a lot of Python code. So we're going to look at how this works. And the first thing we need to do is just import it. So this should come with Python by default. So we should automatically have access to this. And all you have to do up here is you can say from datetime import datetime. So this is the datetime module which we're going to be importing. So you can just hit enter, and now we should have datetime here available for us to use. So that's this first step here. We looked at how we can import the datetime module. Next, I want to show you guys how we can create a date using year, month, and day as arguments. So in order to create a day, we can actually use the datetime module directly. So for our sake, why don't we store our date in a variable called birthday? So we will represent my birthday inside of a variable. So I was born on February 15th in 1994. So if I wanted to represent that date here in our Python program, I can just say date time just like that, and then an open and close parentheses. And inside of here, we can pass a number of arguments. Now, the first three arguments that we need to pass this are the year, the month, and then also the day. So in this case, I was born in 1994, so I'm going to put 1994 there. And then the month is February, so February is the second month, so I'm going to put a 2, and I was born on the 15th. So birthday now is representing my birthday. So this is actually going to create for us a datetime object, which is going to keep track of the year, the month, and also the day. So these are the three arguments that we need to put in here, but you can also put some additional arguments to represent the time. So we have the year, month, day. I can also put the hours. So I'm not sure exactly what hour I was born, but let's say I was born at 4 a.m. I could put a 4 right there. And this is going to be a number between 0 and 23, 0 being 12 midnight and 23 being 11 p.m. So if I put a 4 here, that represents 4 a.m. I could also put the minute, so however many minutes it was. So maybe I was born at 4:25 in the morning. And then finally, I can put seconds as well. So maybe it was 12 seconds. You can also put two additional arguments in here, namely the microseconds, and then you can also specify a specific time zone. We're not going to get too much into the time zone stuff. We're just going to keep it simple. But these are the main arguments that you would generally pass into datetime. So we need these arguments. We need the year, the month, and we need the day. And then optionally, you can pass in the hour, the minute, and then also the second. So when I hit enter here, this datetime object is going to get stored in our birthday variable, and this is going to represent my birthday. So when I hit enter, now we have access to my birthday. So I can say birthday, and I could say like birthday.year, and this is going to give me the year from that. I could say birthday.month, birthday.day, and we need to spell that right. You could also do, birthday.hour and all that stuff. So you can access each one of these variables. At the same time, you can also figure out the weekday. So I could say like birthday.weekday, and this is going to tell me what day of the week it was on my birthday. So if I hit enter, you'll see we get a 1 here. So a 1 would represent a Tuesday, and these days of the week are numbered between 0 and 6. So 0 would represent Monday, and 6 would represent Sunday. So if I have a 1 here, that means that that's a Tuesday. So I was born on a Tuesday. So that's basically how we can create a date time object. Just like this, we use this date time module and we pass in a bunch of arguments that we want to use, and then we have that. So now we have this really nice and easy format for keeping track of and using a date. So that's going to do it for this step up here. We created a date using these different arguments. Now I'm going to show you guys how we can create a date using datetime.now. And datetime.now is a special function in the datetime module that's going to allow us to essentially get access to the current date time, so what it is right now. So I could say datetime.now, and this is going to be the date and the time that it is at this exact moment. So if I hit enter here, you'll see that we get this date time. So if I just keep executing this command, you'll notice that the date and the time keeps updating. So here, when I first executed it, it was at 40 seconds, and then 45 seconds, 46 seconds, 48 seconds, etc. So this is continually updating whenever Python is executing this code. And a lot of times in a program, it's really useful to figure out what time it is at this exact moment. So that's just a really easy way of getting access to that information. So another cool thing we can do with these date times is we can subtract them. So I could say like date time, let's say I wanted the date time and it was going to be 2018 January 1st. I could say 2018 January 1st, and I could say minus date time, and we'll do 2017 January 1st. So this is the difference of a year. Here's January 1st, 2018, January 1st, 2017. I can use this subtraction operator, and when I hit enter, you'll notice that we get this time delta, which is a difference in time of 365 days, which is exactly 1 year. And we can use these and combine them with the datetime.now. So for example, I could say datetime.now, and I could say minus datetime 2018 January 1st. This will give me the difference between now and the beginning of the year. So it's been 318 days, 69,145 seconds, and 690,000 microseconds. And this is a really good way to figure out the differences between times. Now, normally these operations are very difficult. So actually doing these date time operations when you're dealing with, 60 minutes in an hour and 24 hours in a day and however many days per month, it can get really difficult to do all these things. And so Python just provides a really easy way of doing all of that. So that's how we can use datetime.now. And I showed you we can also do a little bit of arithmetic with these. This is the only thing that you can do. You can't add or divide or multiply dates. You can really only subtract them, but that is actually really useful. So let's clear this off, and then we're going to look at using the string ptime function. And this is a function that is going to allow us to parse a date time out of a string, and that's what this P stands for. It stands for parse. So a lot of times when we're writing actual programs, we won't have these very clean, 2018 dates like we have right here. So it's not always going to be as easy as having this information. A lot of times dates are stored in strings, or a user might enter a date. So for example, we might have a date that looks like this. It might be like January 15th, 2018 or something. Python is smart enough to be able to take a string like this and convert it into one of those date times. So when we don't have a clean date time object, we can create one using a string like this. And we can do that using the string ptime function. So let's take a look at how that works. We'll create a variable here called parse date, and I'm going to set this equal to datetime.string ptime, and this is a function. So inside of here, I'm going to pass in 2 arguments. The first argument is going to be the actual string. So I think before we looked at like January 15th, 2018. Let's say that this is the string that I've been given. So that's the first argument that we're going to pass in. The second argument is actually going to be a formatted string. And this is a string that's going to basically tell Python how this date is formatted. So we can tell Python where the month is, where the day is, and where the year is. And we're going to do that using a very special syntax. And in order for me to introduce that, I'm actually going to head over to my web browser. So I'm here on Google, and I'll show you guys exactly how we can pull this up. You just want to type in Python 3 date time and hit enter, and this should be the first thing that pops up. And this is in the Python docs. Now, anytime you're on the Python docs, you always want to make sure that you have the correct version of Python selected. In our case, it's the latest version of Python 3, because a lot of the Python docs are also available for Python version 2. So always make sure that you're on version 3. And on this website, we're going to come over here to this sidebar, and we're going to click on string ftime and string ptime behavior. So down here in this section, this kind of gives you an introduction into how these two functions work. And right now we're looking at string ptime. But if you come down here, there's a list of these format characters. And these format characters are characters that we can use over here in our format string, and we can use them to describe the structure of this string right here. So for example, if I wanted to represent what this is, it's going to be the month, and then a space, the day, and then a comma and a space, and then the year. So I can format that exact thing over here in this string using these special characters. So I'm going to use this %sign, and then we're going to use one of these letters. And these are going to represent different things. So for example, if you look down here, I can use %b to represent month as a locale's abbreviated name. So %b will stand in for a 3-letter abbreviated month name. So over here, I can put %b just like that. And that's going to tell Python that the first thing in this string is going to be the month. Then I can put a space, and now I want to find the format string that I need to use for the day. So in this case, we can look over here on this helpful chart, and you can see here %d gives us the day of the month. So I can put a %d right here, and then I'm going to put a comma and a space, and I'll put one that represents the year. So if we look over here, we can find a year one, it's %y is the year with century as a decimal number. So I'll use %y, and now we've basically told Python what the format of our date string is. So I can pass in any date string that looks like this, and Python's going to know that the first part here is the month, the second part is the day, and the third part is the year. But let's test this out. So I'm going to hit enter, and now we could print out like parseDate.month, and you'll see here that we get 1, which is for January. So Python was able to take this JAN and convert it into a 1, which represents January. And it did that because we told Python using this %b that this was going to be January. We could do the same thing for year. You'll see we get 2018. And I could change this too. So if we come back up here, we can make another one of these. Let's make it in 2011. Why don't we do the 4th? And this is going to be July. So it's July 4th, 2011. And I'm still using this same format string, so Python should be able to handle it again. So we can say parseDate.year, 2011, and parseDate.month, and we get 7. So it looks like that works. So this is a really good way to be able to take a string and then convert it into a date with good accuracy. Now there's a bunch of these different % characters for formatting things, and it would take me way too long to go through all of them. But the point is that you can kind of play around with these and create different types of string formats and then be able to specify them using them. So I'll leave it up to you guys to kind of play around with all of these, and you can read through what each one does. But there's a lot of things in here, not just for date, but also for representing things like time. So that's going to do it for the string ptime. And like I said, string ptime allows us to take a string, parse through it, and convert it into a date time. Now we're going to take a look at another useful function, which is called string ftime. Now string ftime is pretty similar to string ptime in the sense that we're going to write another one of those formatted strings. But in this case, string ftime is going to take a date time, and it's going to allow us to grab specific parts out of it and put them into a string. So why don't we create a variable here called dateString, and I'm going to set this equal to datetime.string ftime. And this F over here stands for format, so it's going to allow us to format a string based off of a date time. So in here, I'm going to put an open and close parentheses, and this is going to take 2 arguments. So the first argument is going to be a date time, and it's a date time that we're going to want to format into a string. So in this case, why don't we just put datetime.now, so we'll put right now, and then over here, as the second argument, again, we're going to put another one of those formatted strings. So just like we did with string ptime, we're also going to specify the structure, except this is going to work in the opposite way. So instead of creating a date time from a string, it's going to create a string from a date time. So the one that we had before was the 3-digit month, and so in order to get that, we use this %b. So why don't we do the same thing? We'll say %b, and then we had the day, which was %d, and then we had the %Y, which was for year. So if I hit enter on this, and now I print out date string, so I can just say date string, you'll see that we get this formatted string just like we had before. So string ptime allowed us to take a string like this and convert it into a date time. String ftime allows us to take a date time and convert it into a string like this. And so just like before, you can play around with these different format characters. There's a bunch of them over here, and you can create all sorts of cool formats and stuff like that. But the main concept is the same, which is we're describing what we want it to look like. So string ptime and string ftime are really useful, and you'll be using them a lot if you're working with dates in Python. So that's just a quick introduction into how to use them. Covers most of the main points. Obviously, there's a lot that you can get into. If you come over here on these docs, you'll notice this is just like a ton of stuff and a ton of cool stuff to read and to get into. And if you're really interested in date times, you can start looking at things like naive versus aware date times, which allows you to work with things like time zones and daylight savings and all that good stuff. And Python provides a lot of that functionality just straight out of the box. But these are a lot of the basic concepts that we just covered. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys to investigate a little bit more. So that's going to do it for me for this video. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. From all of us here at Code Academy, I've been Mike, and happy coding.